You may be making some mistakes. Today, I'm teaming up with Serena from You Can't Eat the Grass to go over the top 5 mistakes that new flower farmers tend to make in their first year of flower farming and some mistakes that current flower farmers are still making. If we're just meeting, my name's Jessie and I own Living on a Prayer Flower Farm. I'm located in Zone 8B, Ruston, Louisiana, and I'm in year 2 of flower farming and I've made a lot of mistakes. But some of these mistakes could have been completely preventable. Okay, majority of the mistakes could have been completely preventable. But I'm so excited to be teaming up with Serena to go over our top 5 mistakes that we've made and that we've noticed other people make.
I'm Serena from You Can't Eat the Grass, and over there we share stories all about building our farm. Red Roof Family Farm is in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada, and we grow flowers and veggies, which we sell down at our local farmers market and also here at a roadside stand. This year we're going into our 4th year of farming, and we are going to be growing a lot more flowers. In total, we have a growing space of half an acre, but in our first year, we definitely did not have that much. And we only grew 2,000 square feet of flowers in that first year. Thinking back, I'm pretty proud of the success that we had in our first year, but there's definitely a lot of things that I learned and a lot of things that I changed. Every year on the farm, we learn so much from our growing experience, but you know, that first year especially has quite the learning curve.
One mistake that I still struggle with is buying all the seeds, especially if you're brand new to this. You need to stick to the basics. Sunflowers, zinnias, cosmos, basil, and celosa are my top 5 things to grow if you're starting a flower farm. And with that, you don't want to buy all the varieties of those flowers. You don't need to have 30 varieties of zinnias and 30 varieties of sunflowers unless you have room for it and you're really up to the task. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get overwhelmed from buying all the seeds or having all these variety of seeds, and you're going to end up growing just a few of those flowers instead of a lot of one flower that you know will sell well and that you can actually grow. So resist the urge to buy all the seeds, even though it's so hard and you want to grow everything. I want to grow everything.
One of the big mistakes that I made in that first year in our flower farm was that I chose to grow mixes instead of specific colors. Having never sold flowers before, the mixes seemed like a really great choice. I was able to buy 1 pack of seeds for the, specific variety that I wanted to grow, and I could get all the colors. I could see what they all looked like. I'd have lots to play with. It wasn't very long into that first season that I realized what I needed more than a whole mix of colors was specific colors. I ended up having, a bed of flowers where not all the colors were things that I wanted to be able to use. Not all of the things were colors that I was really able to sell. Mixes often seem to be, exactly the color you don't need. I know with Snapdragon specifically, I always feel like it's just yellow and pink with Snapdragon mixes. Going into my second year, I always made sure to buy specific colors. I'm much better off having just one color than having that whole variety. It also makes it so much faster when you're going to pick, to be able to pick just a bucket of a single color. So I understand that it's tempting, but I highly recommend, whenever possible, choose a specific color over a mix.
You're not growing enough filler. That's right. If you're going to have a flower farm and you're really planning on selling at markets, you need filler. And you can never have enough filler. My first year, I focused on growing all the focal flowers. And then I struggled to put together bouquets because I had no filler. You need that green. You need the little flowers to go in the bouquets. And that one little square patch of basil you planted, it's not going to last you. You need to plant at least 1 or 2, maybe 3 beds of just filler to make sure that you have enough to go with your focal flowers. It's kind of hard to sell a $10 bouquet with 2 or 3 sunflowers if there's no filler. You need filler to fill out the bouquet and make it look more full so that your customers will be more than happy to hand you that money for the bouquet. So grow way more filler than you think you need, because you need a whole lot more filler than you do focal flowers. And that's something that I've had to learn and I'm really enforcing this year.
Another mistake, which I have to be honest, I don't feel like I've 100% learned this yet, but make sure that you are not starting your seedlings too early. In my first year, I wanted to have my flowers as early as possible. I wanted to have those flowers coming out of my farm so that I would be able to sell them. The sooner I can get flowers, the sooner I can be selling flowers, the more money I can be making off of flowers. To try to push those dates up as early as possible, there was so many things that I started early in the spring in hopes that I'd be able to plant it out. And especially in that first season, it was very overwhelming to have so many seedlings. I had so many things that I was trying to do in that first year that I ended up having lots of trays of seedlings that just kind of sat there and got neglected. And because of that neglect, by the time I put them into the ground, they were stunted and it caused them to actually bloom even later. There's one specific tray that I can think back and remember. They were 2-inch tall cosmos in these tiny little plugs, and they were blooming. They were blooming because they were so root bound and so sad because I had made them live for so long in the trays. Now I know when I'm planning when to start my seedlings that I'm better off to start things 2 weeks later and get them planted at the right time, rather than to really try to push the boundaries of when I can plant, push my, time maintenance boundaries of how many things I can plant, in one given week. I'm better off to, make sure that I'm getting smaller, healthier seedlings into the ground rather than trying to get the biggest possible seedling into the ground.
Another mistake I've made is not getting my soil tested. You really should get your soil tested every year, but especially your first year. Not getting your soil tested could result in short stems, flowers not growing properly, and stunted growth. Go through your ag extension office. They'll make recommendations of what you need to amend your soil with. So that way you're not just randomly buying compost or this fertilizer and that fertilizer, or maybe adding too much of a certain fertilizer. You really want to make sure that you're testing that soil so you know what to put in it so that you can get those long, beautiful stems and big, beautiful blooms.
Thanks so much to Jessie for inviting me to join her today in talking about some of these mistakes. Hopefully you guys can learn a little bit from my pain and hers and, not make some of these mistakes yourself.
Big thanks to Serena from You Can't Eat the Grass. She's actually who inspired me to start flower farming. So I'm just so excited to be doing this collaboration with her. A link to their channel is down in the description below. And if you'd like more information on beginner cut flowers, be sure to check any of the videos beside me, and Serena or I will see you there. Bye!